In this video, we're going to talk about how to remove money obstacles from your life. Let's go. All right, so money obstacles can be a huge hindrance in your life, specifically when you are trying to accomplish certain goals like financial freedom or just bettering your understanding of your financial situation. And you're working hard towards that, and then you reach a point where something happens that is really an obstacle to that. It can be, job loss, it can be a medical emergency, any kind of thing that really just gets you off balance with your finances and knocks you off of what you're trying to accomplish. So how do we get to a point where we can start to remove those obstacles from our lives? Well, the first thing you can do is really just have a goal. You have to have a goal in mind when you're talking about, money, so that you know what the end result is or what you're trying to achieve or where you're trying to go with your financial understandings. The best thing to do is write that down. What is your dollar amount, if it is a dollar amount, or just whatever understanding level you're trying to reach with your finances or with the money that you're making. Because a lot of times what we see is we're on our path for financial freedom, or we're on our path for, financial literacy or whatever it is, but we don't have a goal, an end goal in mind of where we're trying to reach. And this even happens in retirement. People are saving for retirement or investing and doing all of these things, but they don't have a goal that they're trying to attain. They don't have, an end dollar amount that is going to, solidify what they're actually trying to achieve. And that can be a hard place to be in, because you just start to do things, aimlessly and go from one thing to the next. Specifically in investing, if you are investing in multiple asset classes and you really don't have an end goal in mind of what you're trying to achieve with those investments, you can end up in a situation where you're kind of in an investment cycle that is not prosperous for you, meaning that, yes, investments are going to go up and down. And if you don't have that dollar amount of what you're trying to reach, you can be up and then start to lose because you don't know when to pull out, because there's no goal in mind. So definitely understand what your goal is in terms of your financial situation. And that's the first step in really removing those money obstacles from your life. And the next thing you want to do is actually reveal the hidden obstacles that are in your life in terms of money. There are a lot of hidden obstacles in terms of money in our lives, from, not budgeting, from, eating out too much, from doing all of these adverse things that are sucking money out of our lives and sucking money out of the situations that we're going into that we want to achieve. So really understanding what those hidden obstacles are and kind of putting them in front of you and seeing what they are will give you a really clear path of what you have to do next and how to remove those obstacles. A lot of times, we are in a reactional state. We're going through things with money situations and we're just reacting. We may be in debt or whatever, and we want to get to a certain point with our finances, but we're reacting to the immediate situation of being in debt or whatever. So we have to be proactive. We have to start being proactive about what's happening with our finances to be able to start removing those obstacles. So if you see things coming, as you start to recognize what those obstacles are, you start to see the patterns of behavior that you have in your life, and you have to be proactive about those behaviors, because that's one thing that has to change in your life. In order to remove any obstacles, you have to change your behavior. Your behaviors are what caused the obstacles to be there in the first place. And a lot of times it stems from your understanding. So it's one of those things that you have to get a hold of and in control of how you think about what you're doing and what you really believe about, your finances, your money, all those things. You have to get a handle on what you believe and how you can start to remove the bad things that you see in your life that are causing you adverse effects with your money. So that's one key way to start removing those obstacles. Really do define them and really start to be proactive, not reactive about removing those things. And the next thing you want to do is you want to document your vision or your results. And what I mean by this is you want to have a clear picture of the things you've actually done to get to the point of resolve with some of those things in your life, so that you know what not to do. That it's sometimes more powerful to know what not to do than to actually know what to do. So if you can see what you've kind of gone through to remove whatever obstacles, as you start to remove them, really document that, really have a clear picture of, hey, to start paring down these bills, I changed my eating habits over here, or, I developed the emergency fund over here so that when emergencies happen, I can easily get out of those emergencies and not have to get into another binding economic situation with, loans or anything else like that. So really documenting those things and seeing what you did to get out of those different situations with different processes will really help you to remove those obstacles and not get back into those same obstacles. And that's something that does happen. Sometimes people are going through the same money situations over and over and over again because they're not removing the underlying obstacle that is causing those situations. And, it's important that you document those processes and see, so you have a clear picture of the things that you've done and what you don't want to do again. And along with that, you want to develop and follow your plan. Do what works. If you find things that work, and as a plan, make them a part of your plan, make them a part of your habitual things that you do every day, because that's going to, again, allow you to get to the point where it's just like clockwork. You see things coming, you're able to mitigate those situations and get to the other side of that before they become an issue, because that's what you want to do. You want to be proactive, as we said, and get to the other side of things before they get out of hand. And, when it comes to obstacles, when it comes to money obstacles, you have to be really ahead of those things before they happen, specifically if you don't have the financial means to weather that, to weather those things. And that's really what it comes down to. Sometimes we don't have the financial means to weather certain things. So we have to be proactive about those things so we don't get into a situation where those things become obstacles to other things that we want to do financially, whether that be, saving or investing or, doing all the things that we want to do financially in our lives. And the only way to do that is to do, as we said, really understand what those things are, understand those obstacles, and get to a point where we can see them before they're happening and really mitigate those situations through planning and following our plan of how to get through them. And again, once you have a plan in place, you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent with what you're doing. Consistency is one of the key things to being able to get through whatever situations you're having in your life and really turn those obstacles from things that are hindering you into situations that are prosperous for you. And that is possible. It's very possible. And that has to be done through consistency. The more consistent you are with the plan, the things that work in your life, when you find those things that work, the more you are consistent with those things, the better you will get at doing that, and you will be rewarded for that. You have to reward yourself for your results. You have to reward yourself for the progress that you're making in your life. That's the final step that you want to take in removing the obstacles from your life. When you start to remove those things, recognize that you've removed them. Recognize that you are in a different state, that you are in a different place in your life when you remove those obstacles, so that you know that, hey, this is something great. This is something powerful that I've done in my life, and I've moved into another phase where I don't have to think about that anymore. There's nothing like getting to a point where you're not going through the same things over and over again from a financial standpoint. And I know it can be hard to do that. A lot of us have been there where, you're going through the same things, and it happens, and you're trying to figure out how to get out of that state. So when you do get out of that state, recognize that you have. Recognize that you have and reward yourself for that, even if it's just saying to yourself, well done, man. You've done that. You've accomplished that, and acknowledging that you've accomplished that, because that's going to go a long way into keeping you out of that situation and recognizing that you are in a different place. You want to be in a different place with those things, and I know it's possible, and I know it's possible for you. I hope this has been extremely helpful for someone, and until we talk again, I wish you health, wealth, and freedom.